views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey everyone of the Doc Bob Lee, welcome to Open BxRx, our special coverage of COVID-19 and current events in our community and beyond. Coming up on today's show, we'll take a look at the power of mentoring and what one woman is doing with the goal to educate and provide resources to young Latinas in the community. Plus, COVID-19 has brought a number of food insecurity issues to light, and we'll hear what one group is doing in an effort to combat that. Then we'll be joined by a man working to make sure everyone has access to business attire. And then my man Bobby C has the latest in the world of sports. And then later on, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has declared that gyms and fitness facilities will not open as part of the state's fourth phase. We'll be joined by gym owner and trainer Larry Hamilton to discuss his take and how he's moving his business forward. So stay tuned. We are now open. Welcome. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee. Welcome to Open. Our next guest is the founder and executive director of Love Mentoring. He joins us to share more about their work. We welcome Claudia Espinosa. Welcome to Open. How are you? Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Bob, for having me this morning.
So you're into LOVE, and it means...
Yes. Latinas on the Verge of Excellence.
How did you come up with that name?
That was years ago. Maybe 2011 when I started thinking about creating this organization, and I wanted to find an acronym for the name, and I play around with a few acronyms, and Love was the one that really stuck with me, and I play with meaningful words for each of the letters, and that's how it became to be Latinas on the Verge of Excellence.
So when you were dreaming this big dream, you said to yourself, let me see, I got to come up with that name. I came up with the name of the organization. Now I want to put some things in place that it stands for. So what is your mission statement?
Well, from the beginning, the whole purpose of creating this back then project and now an organization was to find a medium to support young women in New York City, mainly young Latinas. And the reason for which I decided to do that had to do with a job that I had back in 2009. It was there where I learned about these challenges affecting young Latinas in New York City. I was working as an intake counselor, and my job, which I do not consider a job, it was, let's say, a way for me to learn what I needed to do, what kind of like my purpose. But what I was doing there was interviewing girls that were referred from partner hospitals. And they were referred to the program because they had depression or suicidal ideations. And the program where I worked was a suicide prevention program. So my job, again, in quotes, was to interview the girls that came to the program, referred from these partner hospitals, and heard day after day their stories about why they thought they had no hope to live. So after doing this for 6 months, I decided I have to do something. And at the time I was at NYU, and that's how it all started.
Yeah. What are some of those stories? Because, people are curious to find out why would someone want to end the only life they're ever going to have.
And we're talking about, Bob, young women, right? So they were in between the ages of 13 and 17. They were all young Latinas. And the reasons, as you mentioned, it had to do with, they were all most of them were new immigrants. So it had to do with this feeling of, I'm not going to be able to overcome these challenges, this insurmountable challenges that I have from this external worlds. And what I mean is the idea that they come here and I need to learn this new language. I am in a new territory. Some of them may not have been with their families. So it was this feeling, this external pressure of, how am I going to succeed and overcome all of this? And for some of them, not having a strong system, a strong support system to guide them through that process. So that all of that together made me feel that by creating that support system that can guide them, support them, show them the way, they won't be feeling or having this idea of, I'm not going to be able to do it, and I don't have the resources or support to do it. And I, by going even more back there, Bob, it was my own personal story, because I had to go through all of that myself.
Did you go through some of those same things? Since it was your personal story, did you have suicidal tendencies?
No. Not that, not depression. But what I mean is, I moved to New York City when I was 20, and I moved here by myself. So what I did go through was this transition to a new city. I did have this feelings or this same challenges of, I need to learn the new language. I need to adapt to this new environment. I had to put myself through all of this here in this new country by myself, because I left my family behind. So I could relate to the students in that regard, in that transition process. Yeah.
How has the pandemic contribute or hinder what you're doing today?
Well, I will have to give you a little bit of background of how we normally did work before the pandemic. So what the program started 2012. We've been running the program in partner public high schools across New York City. And we run the program. It started as an after-school program where we recruit college female students to be mentors, and we teach that program in schools. So we started as an after-school, but for the past 3 years, we've been running the program as a health class. So the program has evolved, and from a curriculum that started with college access, it has evolved into a health-based curriculum that addresses mental health, reproductive health, and college access. So from 3 years ago, we started running the program as a health class in partner public high schools across New York City. So before the pandemic, we were running our program as an in-school class that is implemented during school hours, and where we are able to teach our curriculum. When the pandemic happened, we had to transition our in-school classes into online sessions. And luckily, we were able to do that fairly quickly in March, and we were able to finish this academic year in our partner schools and finish our classes.
Oh, excellent. What do you want young Latinas to know about what you're doing?
What we are working on, Bob, is to be able to bring this program to more young women in New York City. So before this pandemic happened, we were in the process of partnering with even more schools across New York City to be able to run the program. To give you a specific idea of how we are able to reach our young women, we first partner with public high schools. So I know, for instance, for our purposes, the Bronx schools are very important to us. Schools in the South Bronx it's a very important community that we are very interested in supporting. So the goal for us is to develop those partnerships with partner public high schools. And once we do that, we are able to bring the program to their students.
Excellent. So you use a lot of mentors.
Yes.
Why do you think mentors are so important in your program?
Well, the main component of the program, Bob, is mentorship. So, and why is that? So I mentioned before that the feeling that the girls have is, I may not have the support system. I don't have someone that can guide me through how to achieve or how to overcome all of these challenges. We recruit college female students that for the most part are Latinas or are young women of color in New York City, or are minority women that have gone through similar experiences that our young women in high schools go through. So for the young women in the high schools to be able to see someone that is fairly close in age, that has been able to succeed to overcome those challenges, it makes it real for them, and it makes it feasible for them to actually overcome those problems or those challenges. And for us, we hear from the girls, I'm not gonna be able to do it. So to be able to have this role model that looks like you, that has similar background that you have, tell you, I did it and I know how, and I'm gonna show you, there is no excuse for the girls to feel that they can't do it. So going back to where we started, Bob, this feeling of hopelessness, the program is about getting rid of that, having a mindset that is, we're gonna show you how to do it, we have done it, and we're gonna help you do it yourself too.
And this is how it's done. So yes. If we want more information on your on what you're doing, you have a website?
Yes, the website is lovementoring.org. So that is LOVE mentoring.org. Schools can email us at info@lovementoring.org. You can find Love Mentoring anywhere online as when you search for it. And as mentioned, Bob, we are interested in bringing more support to the young women. So the more the merrier. And for schools in the Bronx that are interested in the program for the next academic year, particularly now, Bob, with these challenges of mental health, with this idea that we need to provide more support to our communities, I feel that even now is more important to do that.
I love it. Latinas on the verge of excellence. Wonderful name, wonderful program. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for the time.
All right, Claudia Espinosa, we welcome you and thank you for being a part of our show. Claudia Espinosa, founder and executive director, Love Mentoring. Beautiful. Stay safe. God bless. We love you.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. I've got more next on Open. Welcome back. Our next guest is from LemonTree. It's an organization working to make sure everyone can afford quality foods. You gotta eat, you gotta eat, you gotta have that meal. We welcome Kasumi Quinlan to the show. Kasumi, how are you?
Good, thank you so much.
Seems like a great organization working with food, helping to feed other people, let them, get what they need out of life through eating.
Definitely. I mean, we're a small team, but I think we're all very committed to the same goal.
Yes. And when did you start this?
So LemonTree began, I believe, in sort of mid-April, maybe mid-2018. So we've been around for a couple of years, but during the COVID crisis, we've actually shifted gears quite a bit. And for the past few months, I think beginning in mid-March, we have been recruiting and organizing volunteers across the city and sending them to food pantries that need their help. Food pantries and soup kitchens are organizations that have typically relied on a sort of older base of volunteers, retired people, or corporate groups which just aren't showing up right now.
Yeah, and how has the pandemic altered what you're doing today?
Definitely. So I'm not sure how much you know about LemonTree versus In It Together, which is our sort of volunteer project. But we've actually sort of completely hit pause on what we were doing before the pandemic and completely thrown our resources behind getting volunteers to food pantries in need. We've also are in the beginning stages of starting a sort of hunger hotline where people can call in, speak to a real person, and get help accessing food resources.
Yeah. When you talk about making dinner more dignified, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the families that we work with before the pandemic and also now through In It Together and volunteering at food pantries, the food pantry experience is not always a very dignified one. The lines are really long. I've heard clients wait 3 hours to get a bag of food, and no family should have to wait that long for a bag of canned goods or something they didn't choose to eat in the first place. And there are a lot of pantries that actually do sort of client choice programs where people do have the option to choose what they want to eat. But nowadays, because of COVID, people are just getting prepackaged bags, and it really cuts down on the ability for some people to be able to cook a dinner that they're really proud of and share with their family. And I think we all know that food is such a powerful way to sort of spread love.
You're talking about the power of technology and systems that scale. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, definitely. So again, something that we're learning throughout this process and trying to work on throughout this process is the emergency food system in New York. Largely grew out of, church basements in the 60s, and it's a really small, loose network. And there's not a lot of technology involved. There's not a lot of efficiency involved because really their main focus is serving people directly. And we, as a sort of smaller startup organization, our focus is really trying to figure out ways we can increase that efficiency.
Yeah. And you're working with other food pantries? Because before that, you were doing something else.
So beforehand, we were actually a meal kit delivery service to families, and we were providing sort of recipes and the ingredients to cook them. And we've actually paused on that and have been partnering with food pantries and soup kitchens across all 5 boroughs and sending volunteers their way.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So how do we get in touch with some of the work that you do? Are you looking for volunteers, and do you need donations?
Yes to both, as always. I'm sure that's true for most nonprofits. We are always looking for volunteers. We have opportunities, like I said, across all 5 boroughs at all days, all different times. We really work with volunteers to make sure we have shifts that are available to them. So you can sign up on our website, which is inittogether.nyc, and you'll indicate your schedule and your location, and we'll send you a couple sort of volunteer projects that may work for you, and you can choose which ones you'd like to attend.
Inittogether.nyc.
You got it.
You use the same thing for people who want to make donations?
Yes, there is a spot to donate on the same website and also at the end of the volunteer registration process.
Okay, I'm going to open up and give you the floor to ask for what you want. You need volunteers, you need donations. Let's get at it.
Definitely. I mean, we encourage anybody who is healthy, at a low risk of contracting coronavirus and complications due to coronavirus. We encourage those people to sign up and see the ways that they can support their community. Again, there are all sorts of different ways that you can be helping out. So definitely we encourage people to sign up at inittogether.nyc. If you can't volunteer, there are still ways you can help. You can donate. It costs us just a couple dollars to recruit another volunteer, actually. And so a $5 donation means that we can recruit 1 or even 2 or even 3 volunteers and, keep food pantries' doors open. Without this volunteer labor, they're not able to keep their operations running, so it's really crucial.
And these are the programs that you're working together. The In It Together program is associated with that?
So In It Together is sort of a sub-project of LemonTree. So our sort of official registered nonprofit name is LemonTree, but In It Together is pretty much one and the same.
Yeah. Great. All right. You're doing some great things. Thank you. Helping others to be fed. I mean, that's special, especially around these times where people are hungry and out of work. the numbers are out, over 50 million people unemployed. So, we're really, really going to need you.
Mm-hmm. And,
You're ready
before
for
the
it?
crisis, I hope so. We've been working on it. As I mentioned, we're a small team, but there's a lot of people in the city that are dedicated to supporting the system. And something that we've seen throughout this crisis is that New Yorkers are really willing to step up and help each other out.
That's great. And you get enough people like you teaming up together to help our community to get rid of hunger in our city. We thank you. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you for the work that you're doing. A website that we can go to one more time?
Yeah, it's inittogether.nyc.
There you go. All right. We appreciate you. Kasumi, Quinlan, LemonTree. They feed people. Thank you so much once again. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more Open next.
Well, I got this as a paid internship. Spending my time here, I really enjoyed the people that work here. I enjoy what goes on behind the scenes.
So far, I've learned how to operate a camera, how to host. I learned how to control audio.
My first time hosting was really nerve-wracking, but I really enjoyed it because it was a new experience.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm the Doc Bob Lee. Our next guest is the founder, president, and CEO of 100 Suits for 100 Men, and joins us for a look at the work that they're doing and the work to make sure that those in need have access to business attire. And that's very, very important. We welcome Kevin Livingston to the show. Kevin, welcome, 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 and thank you for all that you're doing.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Tell us how you founded this, how you got involved in it, or how it all started. Same thing.
I mean, we care about our community. You know what I mean? There's no, source of inspiration. Nothing. We just actually care about our community, saw a problem, went to work.
Yeah. So you saw a need. How did you come up with the dream? Was it your dream?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So where were you? What were you thinking at the time?
I mean, like I said, saw a problem with people sagging all the time. A lot of people think that name of the company, like suiting is 5% of what we do, right? Yeah. So anybody can give a suit. I'm very big on follow up, and so when we got started, I like to see the way Black men look. But again, I saw a problem, and I decided to do something about it. That's exactly what it is. I wish I could tell you something different, but it's exactly what it was. We went right to work.
No, I understand. So how did you come up with the name 100 Suits for 100 Men?
Initially, we were going to do 100 gang members and put 100 gang members in suits. I just dropped the extras and made 100 suits.
Whoa. Yeah. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. So the services that you provide are what? People come and they check out or they get fitted. How do you find the people? And what services do you provide? So
the breakdown of the company, we have 3 offices. We just closed our Bronx office back in January. We closed it prior to COVID. We were on Grand Concourse in Fordham. We have 3 offices. We have 1 in Jamaica, 2 in Brooklyn. One of our offices in Brooklyn only services formerly incarcerated men and women, where we have case managers there. We also have licensed therapists on call and barbers. And so they come into our operation, they get a free suit, shirt, tie, a haircut. Yeah. They get, these therapeutic services as well, and also entrepreneurship training. But furthermore than that, we provide program in Rikers Island. We're in there. We provide 4 houses in Rikers. Still to this day, we have 4 houses in Rikers Island that we provide program to. We run a senior citizen program. From March 5th to the end of June, we made about 10,500 and change home deliveries to senior citizens. We then changed the program over where we raised some money, and I was able to hire 8 young people to run the program full time. They make $16 an hour, and they cook the food now versus just giving them groceries. So they're cooking food, and we created a culinary program, and we hired 8 young people from our community that we were servicing.
That's great. That's great. And you started this after the pandemic or during the pandemic?
Senior program we started the first week of March.
That's great, man. That's great. We love you for your service, man. So tell us about the male boutique.
Well, I mean, again, we have guys that come in who are formerly incarcerated. We have people who are homeless or just basically, looking for work. Again, the suit is just a carrot, right? When I get them in there,
Gotcha.
we follow-up services to find out what's going on. We were able, during my walks of having the boutique, especially in the Bronx where we were located, we found a lot of gang beefs that we were able to get in front of. Some guys just needed time to talk. I quite fitting that you guys are in the Bronx. I can speak about my experiences of, we had an office in the Bronx for well over a year in the Poe building with our partners at FedCap. And so, we did job fairs up there. Sometimes brothers just need an opportunity to talk, right? And so that's why the therapeutic services come into play.
I like it. And I like the service that you're providing, and especially in these times where you got over 50 million people out of work, and people need to get jobs, and they need to come in and get a haircut, and put a suit on and go out to. There's jobs that are still out there. You need to still go on job interviews and everything. And I think you're in the right place. And not only that, you're giving them instructions, and you're feeding them. So you got a whole thing going on. How can we help you? How can the community help?
Honestly, the best way that you can help 100 Suits is if you see a young person that you may see going the other way, help them, right? That's the best way to help 100 Suits. And the messaging is that, it's not necessarily a Kevin Livingston 100 Suits thing. If you see somebody in your community that could use the service, get in front of them, talk to them, find out what their needs are. And then if you can't do it, then come talk to us, or come talk to any other organization that can help that young man. But the best way, again, to help 100 Suits is for you to go out in your communities and help somebody else.
How can people contribute or donate, or
you can go to 100
Suits or money?
We don't need any suits right now. We're not taking any suits. We always fundraising. It was an organization. We always fundraise. If you want to do that, do 100suits.org. But again, if you really want to sincerely help 100 Suits, get in front of it, help these young people. They are hurting now. Not only young people, but just our population in whole. And I hope that I'm not out of place for saying I really don't care. I really need us to put the same amount of intensity that we're putting on police violence to what we're doing in our communities. That has to be the same intensity brought to the shootings and the senseless violence that is happening in our communities. We live in these communities. We cannot normalize gun violence, felony assaults, felony murder. That stuff cannot be normalized. And we cannot only when cops do it to us.
Kevin, what are some of the other things that you think we can do to help stem the violence in our community, and besides some of the stuff that you're doing already?
Get in front of the young people.
Get in front of the young people.
I'm telling you that. I wish I could tell you. I would say get in front of them. If you see a young man and maybe talking reckless on the street, don't pull him. Don't confront him in front of his friends. He's gonna get be riled up. But when the things simmer down and you see him by himself, pull him to the side. Talk to him. Hey brother, how you doing? I just saw you. I just want to take a moment to talk to you. Let me just tell you this here, that yesterday I had an open call for a job that I had open, and I had 12 candidates come. This was for 15 to 18-year-old people. 12 candidates, they were very polished and everything else. There was one young man that came on there. Yeah, what's up? Yeah. Hello, yeah. I can't get through, yeah. I hired that young man. That's the young man I went and hired.
That's the one that you wanted to get.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the point I'm trying to tell you. We need to get in front of them. And when we do that, you build trust. Because after you build trust, then you build a relationship, and the relationship builds into other things. They start listening to you. So, you know, we cannot normalize gun violence or any kind of violence in our communities. We have to hold ourselves accountable. And that's what we're not doing in our communities. We are not holding ourselves accountable. And anybody who stands out there and protests police and don't stand there and protest when we do our own communities, I look at you with a side eye.
Mm-hmm. Where can we find more about what you're doing, man?
You can go onto our Instagram at 100 Suits or our Facebook, 100 Suits for 100 Men.
100 Suits for 100 Men. Kevin Livingston, thank you so much for all that you're doing, and we praise and bless you, and thank you for your service, man.
Salute, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right.
Peace.
All right, we'll take a break. I've got more open coming up next.
All right, sports fans, we welcome in author Thomas Wolfe to talk about his new book, The Called Shot, Babe Ruth, the Chicago Cubs, and the unforgettable Major League Baseball season of 1932. Thomas, how's it going? How are you?
It's good. I'm delighted to be here, Bobby. Thanks very much for inviting me.
It's a great time to be a baseball fan. So excited to see the season return. I know there's been some controversy there, and this book that you have out is about a big-time controversy in baseball history.
Oh, yeah. And isn't it remarkable that 88 years after the called shot, we're still talking about it?
You look at the numbers of Babe Ruth, essentially 100 years after he has been gone from playing the game, and his numbers are so remarkable, so incredible. Do you still believe that Babe Ruth is arguably the greatest baseball player of all time?
I definitely do. I think that what he accomplished not only as a hitter and not only as a pitcher, I mean, there's been no player in Major League history who has excelled both as a pitcher and as a hitter, is remarkable and unique. And I think the way that he separated himself from his peers during his playing years sets him apart in virtually every way. I mean, he was a monumental figure in the game.
Your book focuses in on the 1932 World Series, which is Babe Ruth's last. I think it's a remarkable time for the country. I mean, you have that series going on during a decade and pretty much after the Great Depression, or as we dig deeper into the Great Depression, maybe some parallels between that time period then and essentially the time period that's going on now as well.
That's remarkable, isn't it? Of course, I didn't know as I was writing the book that 2020 was going to have similarities to 1932. But as you note, the country was in economic crisis. There were demonstrations in the streets of Washington. It was a presidential election year. there was social unrest. I mean, there are a lot of parallels. I guess it's a way of reminding us that history does repeat itself, and the present reminds us of the past.
So now set the stage for us, because the Yankees go up, they win the first two games here in the Bronx. They go to Wrigley Field in Chicago for game 3. You got FDR, the president, in attendance for that ball game. And Babe Ruth in game 3 does something which I think is maybe the biggest controversy in baseball history.
Yeah, well, to sort of set the stage at the beginning of that game 3, Wrigley Field was absolutely packed. It normally held 37,000 fans. They put in extra bleachers, so there were 50,000 fans in Wrigley Field, and they were all Cubs fans. They were excited for the Cubs. They were excited to see Babe Ruth. They were really hoping that Charlie Root could pitch a good game and get the Cubs back in the series. And as you note, Governor Roosevelt, soon to be President Roosevelt, was in the crowd. He was a Yankees fan. Prior to the game, he called Joe McCarthy and Charlie Grimm over to his box, and when he was talking to McCarthy, Roosevelt waved his arm toward right field as if to say, I'd like some the Yankee balls be hit out in that area. So the stage was set for what was a great game. Ruth came up in the first inning. It was his first appearance ever in Wrigley Field, and he hit a 3-run homer the first time he swung the bat in Wrigley Field. The next time he came up in the third inning, he flied out to right, and then the fifth inning, Charlie Root on the mound. Cubs and Yankees were tied 4-4. Cubs dugout was yelling and taunting Ruth, yelling at Ruth, taunting him, jeering him. Ruth was trash talking right back at the dugout, holding up a couple of fingers, saying it just takes one to hit it, as he took the first 4 pitches from Charlie Root. A ball, 2 strikes, and a ball. So the count was 2-2. And before the 5th pitch, Ruth turned to the home plate umpire and said, if Charlie Root puts one over, I'm going to hit it out of here. And that's exactly what happened on the 5th pitch. Ruth hit it out. I don't think there really is much of an argument that he predicted the home run, that he promised it and delivered it. The only real question, and the reason we're still debating it, is whether or not he pointed to the exact spot the ball disappeared over the scoreboard in right center field. And there were 50,000 people there to see it. There were 2 videotapes of it. It's still inconclusive. It's a great, great story, whether you believe it or not.
Do you believe it is Ruth's most iconic moment?
Yes, I think it is. And I think that's probably because of the media attention to it. I think you could say that the predicted home run he hit in the 1926 World Series for Johnny Sylvester is pretty important. Certainly number 60 that he hit in 1927 is important. And number 714, the last home run of his career, which was the 3rd home run he hit in that game in Pittsburgh in 1935. I think all those rank among his most iconic, but the called shot because of the argument or dispute or appeal of the fact of that particular at bat probably ranks number 1.
Well, the book does such a great job of providing that rich historical context for not only the era, but also for that World Series. And when you think about it, I'm sure the Yankees are kind of the headliners there, especially with Babe Ruth on the team. But the Cubs had a bunch of distractions that year, to say the least, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very drama-filled year for the Chicago Cubs. Started actually in December of 1931 when they traded Hack Wilson. It continued in January of 1932 before spring training when their owner, William Wrigley, died very suddenly. Spring training rolled around. Rogers Hornsby took the team to Catalina Island off the coast of California for spring training. Billy Jurgis, who was expected to be sent back down to the minors, made the team. And then he became one of the major stories in the middle of the season when he got shot by his girlfriend in the Hotel Carlos, just down the block from Wrigley Field. You would think that would be enough drama for the Cubs, but they continued to have issues with their manager. The players didn't get along that well with Rogers Hornsby. And in the midst of a pennant race, Hornsby got fired. He got fired 99 games into the season. So all season long, really going all the way back to December of 31, it was a torturous road for the Cubs to get to the World Series. And then they had the dubious honor of playing against that 1932 Yankees team.
Thomas, you're a great author. You've worked on so many different projects. And for you, what made you decide that this is the project that you wanted to work on now?
I had written some pieces for the Cooperstown Symposium. I come every year up to Cooperstown and get to chat with other baseball historians. And I had written mostly about baseball in prison and baseball and literature. I was sort of thinking that doing a book on a single season would really be appealing as a research project. And once I got into 1932, I just found so much material. It took me a long time to write the book because I found so much material. But it was just if one says that what their job is to get up in the morning and go read box scores and read biographies of baseball players and write about it, it's kind of hard to say that that's a tough line of work. But I did that for about 10 years.
That's incredible. One of the things I tend to discuss with some of my baseball friends and fans is that initially at that time period, people relied on their news from newspapers and getting the stories the next day. Now, all of a sudden, everyone's getting this sort of information sent directly to their phones. So if a moment like that was to happen now, you're going to get an actual live tweet that, hey, Babe Ruth just called his own shot in the World Series. But back then, it was something to talk about over, let's say, the water cooler talk that we would talk about today.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think, of course, if that had happened today, we would not only have 2 amateur videos, we would have 15 different camera angles. We would have reporters in the clubhouse. I mean, there would be so much more sort of information overload that I think it would kill some of the beauty of the story. I think a lot of the appeal of baseball is that things are a little bit inconclusive. We rely on umpires to make judgments, and they're right maybe 95% of the time, but the fact that they're wrong 5% of the time adds drama, and it adds a layer of intrigue to the game. And I think that that's one of the things that's appealing about baseball.
Well, Thomas, congratulations on the book. It's a great read, and it's available barnesandnoble.com, amazon.com. People should go out and pick it up. Really great job.
I appreciate that. Thanks a lot for having me on the show. It's great to talk about it.
Great to have you on, and excited for the return of baseball. And I hope that maybe we'll have the Yankees back in the World Series, called shots or not, this year.
Yeah, I hope so. I think we're all really excited for the fact that there's going to be a season. It'll be a season like no other, and maybe we'll look back on this season in some ways the way we look back on some of those seasons in the 20s and 30s.
You should definitely start working on the 2020 book. There's no doubt about that.
Well, if it's going to take me 10 years, I definitely need to get started.
Thanks again so much, Thomas. Really appreciate it. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome back. I'm the Doc Bob Lee. And New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has recently announced that gyms will not open as part of the state's Phase 4 reopening plan. Joining us with his take on this and how he's pushing his business forward, we have Larry Hamilton of LH Transformation. No stranger to the show. He's here. He's got the rooftop thing going on right now. Grew a little beard. Well, he had the beard before, but he's got it going on again. Got the haircut. You did it yourself?
I did it myself. This is a quarantine cut right here. Yes, I did it myself.
I did the same thing. I put a fork on my clipper and went across the top and just tried to shape it up a little bit.
Hey, you look good.
Welcome back to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Love being on the show. And this is a hot topic right now. You know, especially like we were in phase 4, and then a couple weeks ago we out of phase 4. And I'm gonna be honest, I was okay with the decision. I was okay in the beginning, but there's no action plan right now, and that's where a lot of gym owners, as myself, are very angry.
So, but what are you gonna do? Is part of the phase 4 planning, you wanted the gyms to open up along with everything else. But the governor said, no, hold on. He put the brakes on that. Tell us about your feelings and your thoughts. What's going to happen?
Well, you know, we've been ready to reopen once we shut down. We hit the ground running. And last time I was on the show, I talked about we're going to do pods training. Typically at our gym, we can host maybe 20 people per class. Now we're going to be hosting 3 people per class, really minimizing the space and making it more personalized and safe for when people come working out. It's kind of hard to police a fitness businesses because there's so many of them out there. You know, you got yoga studios, you have hot yoga studios, you have boot camps. So it's just a weird situation where we understand you want to keep society safe. Just give us an action plan so we can show that we're doing it.
But how do you minimize the spread with the heavy breathing and the sweating and everything? How do you keep safe? You're wiping things off. You have the hand sanitizer.
Absolutely.
You have people at social distance.
Absolutely. And that's a great thing you bring up. The breathing, how do you keep people safe? For one, we're not going to allow people to share equipment anymore in our circuit training classes. 2, you know, our facility is 800 square foot, and we're going to have 3 people in a space now. So there's plenty of space. There's at least 10 feet distance within working out. The 4th person will be a trainer walking around. The trainer would have a mask on. Prior to entering the gym, we're going to take a touchless temperature of you. You know, to make sure you're okay. We're going to ask you to sanitize your feet, sanitize your hands. And then, you know, just hopefully everyone just respect social distancing. Oh, there it is. Hopefully, you know, respect social distancing as they're working out.
36. You got the happy face on it. If it has
would you read?
Face on it. Say it again.
What was your temperature?
Oh, 36.4.
There you go. Celsius. Yep. Nice.
Yeah.
You're good. You're clear.
And if you can't read Celsius, if it has a happy face on it, you're okay.
That's it.
But if it has a couple of mad faces on it, then you need to, you know, check yourself and take a Tylenol, go see the doctor. But gyms are very, very important. I mean, people are home self-quarantining, and they're eating a lot in some cases. Sometimes people are going to have a rough time getting out of the door. Me, I have to move out sideways to try to. So going to the gym or working out is so important. Tell us about it.
You put in a quarantine 15? That's what you're saying? So, you know, even myself, if not working out in a gym is definitely much different from working out at home. For people that weren't working out, I think it's more than physical. It's that mental aspect to just being able to move and socialize with a community of great people. Now, what we're doing, we're going to be hosting outdoor classes. We're going to be doing more social distance events like walking. A lot of our members from our location in Throsneck have been taking a long walk to City Island, maybe stopping off at one of the bars, getting a drink or whatnot. But it's a nice walk to get out there. It is different from the gym, but here's my thing. I just feel like the gym is a place where people can socialize, and we're missing that aspect. We're missing out. We're not visiting our friends anymore. That communication is so much needed now. And like you said, the gym is an important aspect of people's lives. We don't just make you look good. We make you feel good. And we lost that essentially within the last 4 months.
And it's a place where you can go to exercise your mind, body, and spirit, because you can meditate and get involved, get into yourself, you know. So it's very, very important. Mm-hmm. So I see you're outdoors. Is that a rooftop garden up there?
Yeah, a little rooftop garden. You know, I wanted to take it outdoors. I'm trying to encourage more people to, if you have the space, take off the mask. I have my mask over here to the side, but definitely get outside. And I want to encourage you all, if you have the space and you can do it, let's take off the mask and work out and move a bit.
All right, what are you going to work on today?
So I'm going to show you a great leg workout you can do in literally 3 minutes, right? And also, before I jump into the workout, if you like this, you definitely should join our outdoor workouts. We're going to host them 3 times a week, social distance, only 8 people per workout. We're taking the temperature. We're providing masks if you want a mask when you work out, and it's going to be super safe. But for this, you know, if you do the workout and you're watching the BronxNet, tag us, tag LH Transformation. So I want to see your form, and we're going to work out together later on. So let me show you these moves you can do. And feel free, Bob, if you want to hop in, Bob, you can do that too.
Let me take your temperature first.
There, how am I doing? I got the happy face?
Yeah, you got the happy face. Now, after you work out, you build up a sweat and everything, and you heat your body up. Is it going to be the same thing?
No, this is an internal read. Internal read. No.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, infrared. It's an infrared thermometer. All right, so what are we working on? What do we have?
All right, so check this out. I'm going to give you a leg workout that you're going to flow right into each movement together. So when you're ready to start working out, I expect that you warmed up and you're ready to go. We're going to get into what I call your traditional athletic stance. Check out this move here. We're going to take this knee, turn it down to the floor. Bam. Turn the other knee down to the floor. Bam. And look, 2 jump squats. And you're going to come right back to that move. 1, 2, 2 jump squats.
There you go.
Now, what I would have you do is set a timer for maybe 30 seconds. You do that for 30 seconds, and then you rest for 30 seconds. When you're resting, shake it out, breathe. That's your first move. Your second move, about the legs, like I said, you hit the floor. You hold what I call the plank right here. Make sure your back is tight. And we're going to jump up.
Yeah, I can't get back up.
Come back down. Jump up. You got this, Bob. Come back down.
There you go.
We're going to work the core and legs. Like I said, you set that timer for 30 seconds, and you rest. Yeah. Be sure to hydrate. Be sure to breathe. Find your pace.
You said hydrate?
Next leg move. Hydrate, absolutely. Very important too when you're working out outdoors. People think the sweat is what you need. Sweat is good, but you don't want to lose too much. Then you start burning less calories if you become dehydrated. Your next move. Let's make it cool with some ice skaters like this. 1, 2, 3. 2 jumping jacks. 3, 2, 1. 2 jumping jacks. And you kind of flow through this as best as you can to get that cool skater to bring in that coolness into your hot workout. Setting that timer, breathing. All right? I got one more for you. This is a leg burner. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my form. Sit back into the athletic stance we talked about. Check me out. Hit it. Boom. Just like that. One leg is not moving. The other leg is getting a lot of work.
There you go.
Pushing back. Turning through. Check out that front view. Just like this. And with those moves, everyone, you put them into a circuit.
Oops, I can't.
You keep doing them. What? You're good? And that's a great leg burner right there. Now, those are some of the moves we've done in our virtual classes. If you join us outdoors, we'll have some piece of equipment, your own equipment you won't be sharing, but you'll get a more powerful workout incorporating moves you just saw.
Okay.
Yeah. How are you feeling over there?
I feel good.
Awesome.
I'm breathing.
Yeah, I'm sweating here. I'm sweating here. I'm working here. I got the bees going. We got a mama bird in the tree over here that's protecting her baby, so a bird may fly over here.
Yeah, she's working out. She's getting to work out too. She's trying to protect her babies, and things are trying to get it.
We're all working out. We're working on agility, making sure. So when we do our outdoor workouts, we'll be going right to our location, LH Transformations in BronxNet, and we're only going to host 8 people at a time. 8 people at a time. Typically, we've done 20 at a time, but we want to, really acknowledge the CDC, and do social distancing. When we're working out, we're going to be working out at LH Transformations, and then we're going to be working out at a park close by, very similar to this kind of turf. So we just want to change it up a little bit, give people something to look forward to.
What do you tell people that hadn't worked out in some time? We've been sitting in the home for a few months, and now they want to get out there and just burn some of it off,
Great question. I'm literally writing a blog, finishing up after this talk. So even if you're a fitness enthusiast or you're starting new, do not go all out if you haven't done anything. The gyms open up. I'm going to be happy. You're going to be happy. Start slow. All that work is going to beat the body up. You're going to feel like you're starting from scratch, worse than before. So I suggest you, when you touch those weights again, or if you've not touched the weights in a long time, start slow. If you were benching, whatever that was, minimize it and build up to maybe, build it up little by little. There's no rush here. A lot of people think they need to play the game of catch up. You don't need to catch up. You just need to keep going. So I suggest people start slow. I'm doing something kind of cheesy. I'll tell you my fun thing I'm doing. I love French fries. So what I would do, I'll take a small run to my French fry shop. It's like a 2-mile light jog. I'll get there. You can't eat indoors. So I'll get it to go and I'll walk back. So maybe, doing fun things like that, setting small goals to start off your fitness journey again.
Yeah, so you'll burn off the French fries.
There you go.
Burn
right?
off what you French fries for fuel.
French fries for fuel. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. All right, where can we find you?
Yeah, please follow us on social media. We're very active. I'm really quirky up there. So LH_transformations. Transformations has an S at the end. Or you can go to our website, www.lhtransformations.com. You get more information. You can sign up for some nutritional plans. You can sign up for a free virtual program. But yeah, let's stay social and get on social media together. I'm really quirky, so you maybe need some good laughs. You can come up.
There you go.
You
want to take us out with some jumping jacks? I don't know if I can stand up about now, but wait a minute.
Let's do it. I know you like boxing, so let's do some boxing jumping jacks. You ready? 3, 2, 1, boom. Boom. Every time those feet go out. Oh. Wow. Wow, let's go. Take it out.
I'll do it over.
Take it out. Take it out. Let's go. Straight out. And then you can mix it up. Look, speed back.
There you go.
Awesome, man.
Larry Hamilton, certified personal trainer and founder of LH Transformations. Thank you so much for hanging out.
Thanks for having me. Yes. I'll get the temperature up for sure.
There you go. I got it right here. All right, we'll take a break. Come back with some more open next. That about does it for us. We had a good time. Hope you had a good time too. Make sure you keep it tuned right here. Keep following us on BronxNet for continued coverage. Always remember this: what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice. Let your choice control the chooser. I'm the Doc Bob Lee. I'll catch you another day, another way. I love you all. Peace.